everybody, and welcome back to another Pinal Prep Spotlight brought to you by Jonesford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. Well, luckily enough for us, a couple of our baseball and softball teams are still going at it. Others are about to kick off the play-in and first round games, kicking things off with our top baseball seed in Poston Butte. Broncos are now headed into the third round of the 4A Conference State Tournament, and on Wednesday at 6:30 at Diablo Stadium, they will be taking on Canyon del Oro. David, what are you expecting in this matchup?
Well, first of all, I'm expecting just Poston Butte to try to get back on track a little bit. They did that against Saguaro in their last time out, but their first game, their opening round against a 16-seed Mingus Union, it was tough. They did not pitch very well. The offense was still pretty good, as they usually are, but the pitching is their calling card, and they were not doing pretty well. So guys like Ethan Hatch and Tyler Child are really going to have to, keep progressing and keep making sure that they can have that good progression and be able to, be the guys that the Poston Butte needs them to be on the mound for them to keep going. But on the other side, the offense is still really, really good. They have a very stacked lineup. One of the guys I want to point out is Connor Lopez. Connor Lopez has been hot since the end of the regular season. In the two games against Vista Grande, he really got on a real hot streak, and that's continued through the playoffs. He did really well against Mingus Union, performed well against Saguaro. So Connor Lopez is definitely going to be a guy that they're going to want to rely on the in the lineup. When I spoke to Coach Holcomb, he told me that they started moving him up in the lineup in that 3-4 hole a little bit, and it's really paid off for them. So I think they're going to continue to do that. And as long as that pitching can get back on track and be the pitching that they've been all year, they're still going to have great success and be a serious contender for this 4A title.
All right, now looking over at the Dorados, they are the number 4 seed, and throughout the season they have knocked 30 homers. This is pretty big. David mentioned Poston Butte's pitching staff struggling a little bit. In their last game against Saguaro, Tyler Child was the guy on the mound. He seemed back in perfect form. Holcomb told me that Ethan Hatch is going to be the guy on the mound against CDO. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys for the Dorados in Austin Mason and Lucas Cassie, both of them hitting above 350, how they're going to do against Hatch. On the mound, it's a pretty similar story for CDO. They have 3 guys who have done a fantastic job for them so far this year. They are led by Blake Lembeck, a 2.23 ERA, 68 strikeouts. And then you also have Marcus Delgado and Dominic Felix. Both of them have a ERA under 1. Delgado 0.76 and Dominic Felix 0.69. So over 30 innings pitched for both of these guys. So it's going to be, I think, another pitcher's duel. We kind of saw that with Poston Butte and Saguaro earlier this week. So we'll see how this turns out. Jumping over to softball, our other top softball team in the 2A conference is Santa Cruz. They are currently number 4. They get to skip the whole play-in tournament thing going on and just wait to see who they're going to play against. David, how did the Dust Devils manage to secure the 4 seed?
I mean, they got here by just being really good at both hitting and pitching. They're just a very all-around good team, and my favorite part about them is that they're so young. I've talked about it so many times. This team is one of my favorites to watch right now. They're young, they're hungry, they're coached really well, and these girls, they have a really solid amount of talent. And at the top of it, it's got to be Tatiana Reyes. Going into this season, she been key for them at the plate. She's batted over 588 plate appearances, so that is crazy. And she's not the only one either, though, as Aaliyah Bojorquez and Isabella Davis have both hit 500 as well, with above 85 plate appearances. So they're doing really well at the plate. It's going to come down to pitching like it usually does, but it's going to be interesting how they also kind of react to the higher levels that they'll see in 2A, because they're not in the strongest region in 2A. So when they come down to teams like Benson and other teams like that are going to be really tough and are going to be the top teams they're going to look for, it'll be interesting to see how they react to that. And I think if they stay true to their game plans, if the pitching holds up, and if the offense stays hot, they're going to be able to do well against these top other teams in 2A and be a team to look out for in the state championship when it gets down to it.
David hit the nail on the head right here when it comes to Santa Cruz competing against some tougher teams. David mentioned Benson. They played back in early March, they lost 13-9. The Sun Devils did, and then just a couple weeks ago, they went up and took on the number 1 seed in 1A in San Manuel, and they just narrowly lost that one 2-1. So these Dust Devils have slightly been tested, but not very much. So, it's going to be interesting to see not only what they can do about against playoff teams, but also, there's that big break going on. I mentioned they don't have to play in the play-in tournament, so maybe rust could be a little factor, or this rest could help them out. We will have to wait and see. David, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I'm glad you brought up, the idea of them having a break, because some teams really, benefit from a break, but then some teams get that rust and they can't, they get out of their rhythm, because a lot of these teams, they like to stay in their rhythm and stay, getting continuous at bats. So I think they'll be all right, but it just depends on how they react to it and how their coaches are able to keep the team on track here. We talked about it's a young team, but I think their mindsets are clear. They've set out from the beginning that they want to win the state championship, and they're going to stop at nothing to kind of achieve that goal.
All right, real quickly, I do have to highlight a couple of our other playoff teams. ALA Ironwood is still, the softball team is still in the hunt. In 3A, they are playing on Tuesday. They're traveling up to Phoenix Brigade Catholic. And then for 1A, in baseball, Ray is number 8. They are also playing on Tuesday. And softball kicks off on Wednesday. We have number 1, San Manuel, as I mentioned, the number 2 seed in Superior, and also number 11, Ray. So we'll have to wait and see how many teams we have still in this thing. And as always, be sure to check out Pinal Central for all of your local news and sports coverage.